We're back. So I've got the niche set up over here in the corner, and that's set up for two full 24 by 12 inch tiles, so they're laying horizontally. And then the niche will sit in there, and then it'll be a 1 inch tile that's on a mat. It's 12 by 12. And anyway, so that'll be the whole niche section right across underneath the window. There's a window here. You're going to see me install that Kurti Schluter board there. I'm just going to screw that on right now to the studs. And then in between the layers of the Kurti board, I'm going to use Kurti Fix, which instead of the tile Kurti flashing. So I've got the studs all marked here. So I'm just going to make sure I get it up into place. Oops. And then that happens. Too many things in one hand. Bear with me here. Okay. Back on track here. We're just going to screw that into a stud. This is an exterior wall, so it's very buried behind it. So the idea is to keep these boards quite tight. Now, what I usually do is if I'm on an interior wall, now you'll see me do that, I'll put caulking on the stud, Kurti Fix on the stud, and then apply the Kurti board on top of it, and that'll make sure that it's 100% stuck. And it'll do a better job all the way around, really. So should have had these set up a little bit before I started the video, but anyway, I didn't. You're in live time, I guess. So what I like to do, once I get these all screwed on, I'm going to cut the window out. The window's right here, underneath. Right behind here, so we can take a measurement off the window. On the inside where the groove is, where you would normally put your trim, we're going to put the Kurti board, have it set up so it's just inside, flush to the front edge of the window. Now, you may not see that on this video. I'll probably show you a recap on it afterwards, because there's a little bit of tedious stuff that goes on. A lot of figuring, a lot of messing around. All the stuff that is handy to know, but it's boring to show. How's that? A little rhyme there for you. Handy to know, but boring to show. Now, these screws that I'm using here aren't the ones that come in the package. The ones that come in the package are a Phillips head, and these are a stainless steel screw. And still 1.5 inches, the same as the ones that come in the package, but it's got a Robinson head on it. It's a little easier to work with. Most of the screws I work with are Robinson. I'm just going to tack this in here. I'm not going to worry too much about it. Basically, I want to figure out where the window's going. So now what I'll do is I have a level, and I'll set the level up. And I'm eyeballing that right straight through there. I usually have a pretty decent eye, so I'm going to cut it a little bit proud right now. And the reason being is because it's easier to cut more often than it is to try to build to it. So we're just going to very easy stuff to cut. It's foam with a waterproof membrane on both sides. I'm going to cut this, like I said, proud. I can pretty well get it on the eyeball, but I want to make sure that I'm good. And it cuts just like drywall. Couple swipes with the knife and you're through it. Now, one thing I don't know is the measurement to the top of the window. And what I do there is I run a tape measure up and I catch it in the groove of the window where we want the 30 board to stop. And I'll find the bottom of the window and it's 24 1/4. So 24 1/4 to the bottom of the sluiter. Sorry, let me do that again. 12 1/4. So 12 1/4 to the bottom of the sluiter gives me that line right there. So with that, I'm just going to trace that line. That's a good thing about putting your curdy board on level. And it looks like to me I did put it on level because when I cut it on the lines. And I had the level setting on it. I usually set it up that way anyway. So there's the top part of the window. Now I have to put a few more screws in there. Let's try to set these up here before I get up there. A little easier than fiddling around back and forth. There. I don't know if it's enough, but it's enough to get going. So, make sure that they're in there good. You don't want them too pressed, but you don't want them too proud neither, because if they're proud, they're mess up with your tile leveling. There. That's good and solid. There's no movement in that. Just gonna grab a few more screws here. And a few more of those washers. Now, if you had a wall that was really on level, a little trick, you could actually put, you could level your curdy board up if you slammed a bunch of mortar on the edge of the wall stud, and then you tacked it in, or you pulled your level up against it and got it level. You kind of beat it around so it was level straight up and down. You could put your screws in where after you got it level, and that'll just dry hard and make it a nice shim. It's easier than trying to shim it all later on as you go with wood. So that's a little trick. I've never ran into one that bad yet, but I've heard other people, another fellow that I did some work with, he ran into that problem before, and that's what he did. So that was his trick. So good on him. So, it's handy to get these joints, like anything around the edges, to make sure they're really good. I tried to say that I want to be about a foot apart with these screws, because this wall board is kind of flimsy. So we want to make sure that it's as tight as it can be. So that's it for that one. I'll put one above the window just to keep it solid. There, that's it for that one. So now, what I'm going to do now, it's going to get a little messy here, is I'm going to take the Curdy Fix and I'm going to run in this joint bead Curdy Fix before I put the next sheet on. It's going to be like a weld bond, I guess is what you could call it. This will just allow the other sheet to stick to this and to keep the water out from going down the wall. So like I said, I don't have to use the Curdy band if I use this. This is better. Stuff is pretty expensive. It's $35 a tube. But it usually takes about 3-4 tubes to make sure you did your job right. Now what I do here with the screws, I want to show you, I just take a little bit of this, make a little bit of a mess, and then I just take something flat like a wooden shim usually, and I just go around the edge of the washer. This is just a piece of drywall on the floor, but I just go around the edge of the washer, and that makes sure that it's sealed all the way around and on top of the screw, and make sure that there's no humps and bumps, and that's pretty well it. That's what I do. It works out. I've been doing that now for the last, I don't know, 5 or 6 showers. I find it speeds up the process. Another thing I'm going to do too is run a nice thick bead right across the top edge of the tub, and to make sure that the board, the foam board, Curdy board, adheres to the tub so there's no leakage. We don't want no leaks. People don't mind paying $35 if it doesn't leak. Now this wall, it had a little bit of mold on here, so I took some mold antimicrobial and I sprayed on the plastic, and then I washed it all down and got rid of all the mold that was here from the original tub surround. So there would be no issues with mold in behind the new membrane. Better for the air quality too of the homeowner. So I jumped ahead a little bit here. I forgot to mark the studs on the tub, so I'm just going to run a little piece of tape and I'm going to tag it on the tub where the studs are, so I know where to put the screws for the wallboard. Now before I get going here, I'm going to just set up a few screws, what the time says. Okay. Set them up. Next time I do the video, I'll make sure I have them set up. Now, sorry about these videos. Some of them aren't that great. I know they're not. I'm not good with this yet. I'm not good with recording myself. I can do it when I don't think I'm going to go on national TV. When I go on national TV, I kind of get a little bit all over the place here. So just bear with me. If you stick with me, the concept is there. What I'm trying to get at. You will learn if you already learned. If you already know, and if you already know, well, I guess you get to see it again. Maybe you have a better idea. If you have a better idea, I'd be happy to know. You're learning until you're dead, and if you don't think you're learning, if you don't think you can learn, then you're dead. You're learning every day. There's something to learn every day, even when you think there isn't. So now, I got a nice bead on the bottom there and a nice bead at the top of the sheet, where the sheet's going to attach to the shower, or the acrylic tub, and also to the other sheet that I've already put on there, just to make sure that the water's, just to make sure everything's going to be sealed up here. And we're going to just set that down on top of it. And then once that's in place, we're just going to stick that in place like that. And now, that seam is now embedded. And across here, there's caulking in behind there. So there's no issues there. If water did get in the seam, it can't get behind it. I find that better than the Kerdi flashing. And the reason why is because Kerdi flashing is only as good as you are. And so isn't it. But with the Kerdi flashing, if you get an air pocket in it, or a screwed up, or a piece of dirt in your mortar, and you get a little tiny air pocket in it, the water will travel that, obviously. And once that happens, then your waterproofing is no good because the water's running in behind it. So this is kind of like a secondary flashing on that joint. And I'd say my drill bit might take a little more. There. So like I said, we want to keep these about a foot. You can go 8 inches if you want. I don't really care. And there's going to be another sheet button up against it, so it's going to keep my seam tight in the corner. We'll go. There's put an extra one in there for good measurements. Okay. Bear with me, it's hard to think and talk. You're talking, you're not thinking. Probably as well as you could be. Now, what happens when you miss the stud? Well, the same thing happens when you don't miss the stud. You just put a little Curdy Fix on it, squeeze it in the hole, glaze it over top, and it's just as good as new. So, waterproof again. Bear with me, I'm just going to have to run out and grab the shin. Okay, back now. So I'm just going to run, I ran the Curdy Fix over these joints, and I squeezed it right inside. I've already done it. Originally, I've done it on the edge of the sheet, and then afterward, I applied again to the top edge of the sheet, and then now we're just going to plane it off like we would drywall. So just to cover the joint, make sure there's no issues there at a later date. Then got a little screw sticking just a little bit proud, so you can tap them a little bit if you want to. So now just gonna run a bead on every one of these as well with the Curdy Fix. That'll seal them off. Now, like I said, you got to go around the edge of the washer and make sure that the edge of the washer, as well as the top of the screws. If you don't, what happens is that you just did the screw, but the water runs behind the washer, and it kind of defeats the purpose. So just plane it off. Sheets are a little bit indented because of the screw. Sucked it in a little bit. That doesn't really affect much, as long as you didn't break the surface. If it's a little indent there, don't worry about it. Your mortar will fix that. So we're just patching over top each one of these. If you miss a stud, make sure you get those holes that you missed, like I did right there. Make sure that everything here is nice and sealed. So you don't seal it right now, we're in trouble, because, and really, the only thing that needs to be sealed is from the floodplain down. So basically from the shower head down. I'm going to seal the top edge of the window. I'm not going to worry about that seam up there. I'll probably end up just running a little bit of, I'll run some of this in it, but I'm not going to be too concerned if I miss a little piece here and there, because it's well above anything that I need to worry about. Just up there because it's a non-porous material. Well, it is a kind of a porous material, but it's foam, so you can't really foam with a water membrane on it, like a rubberized membrane, I guess. But anyway, like I said, there's no water up there. You're more worried about moisture at that point. So moisture from the air temperature. this is a lot cheaper in the end. That Purdy membrane roll flashing, that's like $88 now for a roll. It's quite expensive for any amount of it. It's just not worth the hassle. I mean, either way, it don't look pretty either way. So, and you never see it again. So we're not worried about that looking pretty. We're just worried about making sure that we're waterproof, watertight. So, and this is the best way, I think. Water cannot go behind this. There's no possible way. Unless it's not applied right, and that's why we tool it on there, or I'm tooling it on there, to make sure that it's stuck all the way around the edges. Again, this is stud down here, which sure run a little Purdy fix on that baby, and Bob's your uncle. Pretty well done. Never worry about that spot again. And keep in mind, I mean, this stuff is more crucial in a shower than it is on a tub wall. Yes, you're worried about the water hitting it and getting inside the wall. You don't want that to happen. But at the same time, there's no standing water in here. Shouldn't be. So basically, if you I use a power grout, which is from Tech, and it seems to be very good. I don't know how good on the market, but I'd say it's one of the best ones we have around here. How's that? It's got everything in it: stain blocker, sealer, crack preventative stuff in it. It's mildew, mold resistant, which is very, very handy when it comes to this application. I also use it on the backsplashes that I do, and also the floors. It's a one-shop stop, really. I mean, you buy it and everything's done, you're done. So then I use a color caulking. It's a tech caulking that matches the same color as the grout for the corners. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll run, if it's good solid, everything's good and solid there, good and tight, is I'll run kitchen and bathroom silicone clear on the backsplashes. I find that does a pretty good job. I grout first and then apply that over the grout. So there, basically that's it. And then just going to run an extra bead right along the bottom here, just to make sure that we got exactly what we're looking for. No air leaks. No air leaks or water leaks. So, and I'll do one across the top. So that's it for that part. I'm going to cut the window out, and then I'll get going on the other bit, and then when I get the other Purdy fix open, I'll finish up what I was doing down there and do the rest of it here too. So that's it for now. I'm just going to hold you off at that. Now this wall over here with the niches, what had happened here is the tub was a little narrower than the half-inch too narrow for the space. Somebody messed up on their measurement when they built it. So they had a half-inch of drywall just shimmed out there for it. And so I just took some Purdy fix and stuck to the wall, and then stuck this excess pieces of leftover pieces of Purdy board to the stud, and that's pretty well it at this point. Like, that's all I need to do. And then when I run the new piece over it, I'll seal it up again and then go from there. So that's just a simple way of making a shim, I guess. And this is waterproof. It's better than drywall. They had a drywall shim there. Drywall is not the best for behind tubs. So okay, cut this sheet and have it all set up for in here. So I'm just gonna stick some Curdy Fix on here in the center, show you that method. And what this will do is it'll stick the sheet to the stud cavity, so I don't have to screw it in the middle. As long as I fashion it well on the outside edge. And another thing I'm going to do too is I run a bead, a Curdy Fix, right along the edge in the corner on top of the sheet, so we make sure that the two sheets stick together like a weld. I want this all uniform so the water can't travel behind it. And then over here, it doesn't really matter too much. I'll stick it on there anyway. Here you're past a water plane, flood plane anyway. So now I'm just going to stick this on, and then I'll screw it on here in a minute. Now, it's nice and solid there right now. And now we'll just throw a couple screws in there, like we did all the other sheets. And this one here, I've got cut out at the window, and what I did was, I just cut it out the same way I did the top. I followed the edge, the outside edge of that spot where you slide the piece inside. And because I want to slide my Curdy board inside, and then I want to also have it flush to the front of this from behind. And then I'll take the Curdy Fix again, and I'll run it across the seam, seal everything down. I'll run it behind the seam so it's molded to the other piece. And then with this one here, I'll try to, I think I got it figured out that I'm down 1/4 inch. Just so I can get a little bit of a taper on that window, because we don't want any water there laying at all. They can also use this, I'll have it probably 1 or 2 degrees from level, and they can also use this as a place to put their soap and shampoo and stuff as well if they wanted to. The only problem with the windows, it's not a problem to bring the tile to the window, and it's not a problem for leakage, because I'll Curdy Fix it all inside, make sure that the Curdy board is all stuck to the inside of the channel, the J channel on the window, where your trim would be, so there's a good seal in there. I'll run some mortar, I'll stick some mortar in here, and I'll use that as the backer to hold everything in place. And that'll harden all up nice, and then I'll run a screw through it afterwards. And then, like I said, once that's done, I'm more worried about the hardware on the window in the shower, because I had the same kind of window in my shower at home, and the only thing that had happened on it was the lock seized up because of the steam in the shower. Never really got any water on it, just got steam in there. And so that's the only real thing you have to worry about when it comes to these windows in the shower. I myself steer away from putting a window in a shower because of that one reason. It does affect the mechanisms in it, the hardware inside the window, but it doesn't affect the window itself, because the window is vinyl and glass, you can't hurt. So that's the only issue. This one here has been in here for quite a while now, so 2008, I think she said. So, or 2010, so now it's 2024, so it's 14 years, and there's no issues with it yet, and the shower's been here for that long. So, anyway, I'm going to stop you there, and I'm going to continue on, and I'll catch you on the other side. Maybe another video here tomorrow. Cheers, everyone. Have a good night.